Looking at the rental market now compared to going back 2-3 years ago, it's certainly a lot harder now to find tenants. You have to make sure that the property is maximised in terms of marketing. The professional photography is key. Make sure that the house is extremely well presented. What we're seeing more so of a trend is that the tenants are becoming more demanding. They are expecting warmer, drier, healthier homes, and rightfully so. The average length of a tenancy is extended from 12 months to 18 months, so tenants do not move as often as what they used to. Also, you will see that rents have increased slightly, but not say as much as what house prices have increased in places such as Auckland and Christchurch. In the Hawke's Bay, what we're seeing at the moment is we have a real shortage of listings. If you need your house rented, then now's really the time to do it. Tenants are in short supply equally though, so you need to make sure that the house is again very, very well presented. In the Manawa 2 in Palmerston North, we're seeing most of what we rent is mainly 3-bedroom houses, but now is a time of year where we do see a number of student properties come onto the market. There is a shortage of students though, and those numbers at Massey University have dropped considerably, so there could be an oversupply of student rental accommodation. So again, I advise that you price your house well and make sure that it's extremely well presented. Students again are becoming more demanding. They look for heating, they look for security, so please consider all these things before you decide if you're going to rent out the house. Down in the Horowhenua and the Kapiti Coast, there's a high demand for rental property in the Kapiti Coast. This is becoming a bit of a boom area, with rents generally on the way up. An average 3-bedroom house in the Kapiti will rent for approximately $330 to $360 a week. In the Whanganui, these are houses where you can generally generate a very high yield. Houses can be purchased at relatively low price, and then you can rent them out for a 3-bedroom house in Whanganui will rent for approximately $220 to $230. These are generally higher achieving yield areas. However, like any form of investment, the higher the return can mean higher the risk, and you may have a longer vacancy period. So again, make sure the house is well marketed, well presented, and it should rent no problem. In New Zealand, there's only about 30% of houses are managed by property managers, which is different compared to Australia, where 80% of houses are managed by property management companies. Why is the difference? Well, in my opinion, we are starting to see a trend more towards property managers. The reason why I would pick a property manager is that it's a business and you need to treat it as a business. A number of owners we see get carried away with emotion, and sometimes they can make decisions without having the knowledge or the expertise behind them. Our property managers are trained and qualified. They understand the importance of whether you are an investor looking for a maximum return on your investments, or whether it's just a homeowner who's leaving the house for 1, maybe 2 years, wants to make sure that it's looked after and it gets returned to them in the same condition that they handed it out in. In property brokers, rent arrears is taken extremely seriously, and no tenant is allowed to get a certain amount of days in arrears before we make an application to the tenancy tribunal. As such, we have a very, very good ratio of tenants and a very low ratio of tenants which are in rent arrears. Very proud of our rent arrears, and I'd invite anybody to come into our offices and ask to see a copy of our rent arrears list. Our job is to maximise your income whilst protect the asset value. What does that mean? That means is that we are the experts, we know what the rents are in the regions, we know how to market your property to make sure that we're going to get the best rent, but also it's not just making sure we're getting high rent. What happens if the lawns aren't done, or when we do inspections and the property isn't being well looked after? We're seeing wear and tear on the property. A great property manager will make sure that your investment is maximised not just in income, but also as a capital value. That asset will not deteriorate.